Okay, so now we're going to move on to task 2. We've done task 1, and I'm going to explain about the bookings and how we're going to add more than one booking shortly. So don't worry about that, I haven't forgotten it. But when we start to add in a booking, it'll all become clear. Okay, so for task 2, we've got to use the booking system. We've got to do a number of tasks here. We're going to allow passengers to open an account, allow passengers to make a booking, generate a unique booking number for the journey, and then calculate the total price. So the meat of the task is in this, and this is why I think that they're going to be asking you this in the exam. So let's just make a note of what we need to do so we can sort of check it off, because actually here I wrote what the arrays were that we were doing. So we've done all of that. So I'm just going to remove that, and I'm going to add in what we need to do for task 2. So for task 2, if I can find the sheet, list again what they're asking us to do. We're going to allow passengers to create an account. And I'm not going to put everything that's in that list. I'm just writing a brief summary. And then we're going to allow passengers to make a booking. And then the next thing, and obviously we need to store some stuff there, but I'm not going to put that in. Generate a unique booking number. That's what we're going to put in our array here. And then calculate the price of the journey. Doesn't actually say display, I don't think, either, but we will be doing that. All right, so the first thing we need to do is allow the passenger to create an account. Now, we could just, force them to create an account, whatever, but realistically, they might already have an account. We've got 5 account holders there already. So we're going to ask the user, do you want to create an account? And actually, before we do anything else, we're just going to say, welcome, just a little welcome message to the transport system. I don't even know really what it is, but it's just a welcome message. Okay, and then we're going to ask the user, do you want to create an account? I can't type today. Okay, do you want to create an account? And we're also going to ask, actually we're going to put in there, we're going to tell them what we want them to put in, a Y or an N, because otherwise they don't know what to put in, so we'll just put a Y or an N. Okay, next thing is we need to get their input. So we're going to create a variable called decision, and we're going to set that to be whatever the input is. It's going to be a string input because they're entering a Y or an N, so we don't have to worry about converting that to a number. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at what they've decided to do. So we're going to say if decision is equal to Y, a capital Y. You could put a lowercase y in that as well. I'm just going to stick to the very, very basic stuff. But if you want to add in an or, you could do or decision. I've done it now. I might as well leave it in now I've done it. If you ever want to add stuff like that in, do it, but I always just add the basics in. So if they do want to create an account, this is where we let them create the account. Okay, so I'm just going to put in, I'm not going to put anything in there for now. I'm just going to put let the user add an account. So don't run this code at the moment because you'll get an error. You always have to have at least one line of code under an if, an elif, or an else in Python, and a comment doesn't count. But we're going to do an else, and if they haven't wanted to create an account, then we can just leave a message, for example, I guess, print. Or actually, we don't need to do anything. We don't need an else, because if they haven't put a Y or a capital Y or a lowercase y, they don't want to create an account, we'll just carry on and we'll let them place a booking. Okay, so we're going to let them add an account. So what do we get them to do? Let's just have a look here. It says in the sheet, always refer back to the sheet, allow passengers to open an account by generating a unique passenger account number and storing it along with their name in the arrays. A little clue there, they've got arrays. So I think the way that I've stored the name and the account number is probably what they're after. So we need to get them to enter their name. They don't need to enter the account number. We do that for them. So we just get their name as an input and we say, please enter your name to add an account. Then the next thing we're going to do is, once they've entered their name, we're going to generate that unique number. So when you're generating a unique number in code, what you actually need is something that we call a number seed. A number seed, S-E-E-D. So we need an account number seed. So I'm going to call it account num seed. It's a variable and it's set to what is the next available account number. So you can see here where we've got our account numbers, we've got five accounts already. So our next available number is going to be 6. Now, if you didn't have any data here in the account number and account names, you would just set that to be 1. But what we're going to do is every time we add an account, we're going to increase that number by 1. Okay, but it starts off at 6 and it will go up however many accounts are going to be there. So we need to take that account number seed and add that into the account number table. So they've entered their name, so we say account nums, and then we're going to append that to the array. So it's account num seed. So we add that in, add 6 in, and then we're going to add their name in to the account names array as well. And then actually we're also going to print everything out just to check that it works. So I'll append the name that they entered. So the name that they entered here then gets appended onto the account names array here. So I'm going to print these out just as debug. Okay, so whenever I print out arrays, it's just debug. So account nums, and I'll do it on a separate line, print account names. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's run this and see what happens. So, welcome to the transport system. Do you want to create an account? Yes, I do. Oh, it's down there, sorry. Yes, I do. Please enter your name to add an account. Add my name. There we go. So I've been added on. You can see the original array up here, and I'm now number 6. Perfect. That works really well. Okay, so now we can move on and do the next part of the task. Actually, there's one more thing we have to do, and that is we need to increase our account number seed by 1. So I'm just going to add that under here before the debug. So account num seed plus equals 1, and that will increase account num seed to 7. So the next time that someone comes along to add an account, it would be 7, as long as the program is running. Okay, let's have a look at what we need to do next. So we've done we've allowed a passenger to open an account by generating a unique passenger account number and storing it along with their name in the arrays. So that's perfect, we've done that. The next thing is to allow the passenger to make a booking by first entering their unique passenger account number, the start time of the journey, and a code for each stage of the journey. Check if the passenger account number already exists. So we'll do that first. We'll allow them to enter their unique passenger number and then check if it already exists. So we're going to check we're going to get them to enter their passenger account number and then check if it already exists. So let's enter the number first. And we're going to put this code after the if statement, not in the if statement. So if they don't need to create an account, it will just automatically go to this code here. So we're going to ask them to enter their account number. And we need to get that as an input. I'm going to create a variable to store what they enter. And the account number is an integer, so we do need to convert whatever they input to an integer. And so we've got that, but we need to check to see if it exists. Now there's a number of ways to do this. Again, I've just chosen one way. You could choose a different way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an if statement and say if the account number that they've entered is in the account numbers array, so account nums. So by using is in, we're doing what's called set theory, and we're saying is the number that they've just entered, so if I enter 6, is that number inside the array already? And if it is, then it's a valid account number. And if it isn't, it's an invalid account number. Okay, so what are we going to do either way? So if it's not a valid account number, then we need to force them to enter it again until it is a valid account number. And if it is valid, then we can just carry on. So I am actually going to adjust this slightly, and I'm going to have some a while loop here to handle the situation where they might enter an incorrect or not valid account number, and we force them to enter one until it is valid. So I'm going to use a while loop for this because it's a good way of handling this. So I'm going to create a variable called valid, and you might have seen, if you've watched any of my other videos on pre-releases, I've done this many times before, and we're going to assume that it is a false, it's not a valid entry. So we're going to say while valid is equal to false. So we're using a Boolean variable to control our loop, and basically inside our loop I'm going to tab in, it won't let me do it, hold on, it's not letting me do it, let me just do that. Format indent region, there we go. So I'm going to move that code, I'm going to indent it under my while loop. I'm going to get them to enter an account number, and if it's valid, if it is in there, then we can set our valid equal to true, and we're going to quit out of the loop. So the way that these while loops work is we have that Boolean variable, true or false, controlling whether or not we loop. And if they enter a valid account number, then we quit out of the loop by setting valid to true. Otherwise, it's an invalid account number. It will stay in the loop, and we just need to say sorry, or some kind of error message, sorry, that account number is not valid. Please try again. Okay. So let's test this and see if it works. So I'm going to run this, run module, and let's see, I've got some invalid syntax. So I've got invalid syntax. It needs to be account nums. There we go. I should have put the, is that what it is? Account nums. I put the wrong name of the array there. So let me just paste that there. So if account number that they've entered is inside the account nums, there we go, that's corrected. Let's run that again. I'm sorry about that. And I've just realised I don't actually have to have the word is there. So I've got another error, a syntax error. We just have to, I've put the is in because it is valid, so to speak, but it's not correct syntax. So if we just get rid of the word is and just put if account number in account nums, and then it will run. So let's just run that. There we go, good. So we're going to test our code here. We're just going to test this bit here. I don't want to create an account, so I need to enter an account number. So first of all, I'm going to enter an incorrect account number. So I'm just going to enter one that doesn't exist. And it says, sorry, that account number is not valid. Please try again. So I can just enter any number. And it's just saying sorry. So now I'm going to enter a real one, and we got up to 5 in this, so I'm just going to enter 4. That's the correct one, and that worked. It quit out of the while loop. I'm very happy with that. So we have done that. We have allowed the passenger to make a booking by first entering their unique passenger account number. We've done that, and we've checked if the passenger account number already exists, but now we need to let them enter the start time of their journey and a code for each stage of their journey. So 4 things we need to get them to enter. So the first thing is the start time. So I'm going to put print, please enter the start time of your journey. And we're going to give them the format. So we're going to store this as a float. So I will put hour, and then a dot, and then minute, like that. And we need to input that. So we need a variable to store it. Start time equals float input. So that's letting them enter the start of their journey. And then we need to get them to enter the 3 stages of their journey, the codes for them. So I'm going to enter, please enter the code for the start of your journey. And we can tell them what they are. So that would be C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. And again, we're going to get them to input that, and it will be start or I'm going to call it stages. Stage 1 code equals input, and it's text, so we don't need to convert what they put in. And then we can just copy and paste this for the next stages. I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to change stage 1 to stage 2 and stage 3. And then we've got M1, M2, M3, M4, and M5, and then F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. And then I just need to change this one to middle and this one to end. Okay, so I'm happy with that. That looks good. And I'm just going to check to see what else we needed to put in here. So we're going to allow the passenger to make a booking by first entering their unique passenger number, which we've done, the start time of their journey, which we've added here, the code for each stage, so that's the three stages, and that's it. Good. Then what we need to do is generate a unique booking number for the journey. So we're going to do the same thing as we did with the account number seed. We're going to have a booking number seed. So I'm going to create booking num seed, and that's we'll just start with 1. And that's going to be our booking number. So we could just do booking number equals booking number seed. Now we do need to increase that number, the booking number seed, so let's do that because we've taken one of them. So booking number seed plus equals 1. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And looking at the task, let me just move that out of the way for you. There you go. So lastly then, we need to calculate the total price of the journey without any discount and store the journey details. So there is a little bit of work in this one as well. We're going to calculate the price. We need to get the price first. So we've got them to enter their stages here, 1, 2, and 3. So we then need to say, okay, if they've entered C1, we know the price is 1.5. If they've entered M1 it's 5.75, etc. So we need to work out from the code that they've entered what the price is for each one of the stages. And once we've done one for one, we can just copy it and paste it. So I'm just going to add get the price of the journey, or get the prices of each stage. And the first thing that we need to do is to enter, is to get that stage code, for example here, the stage code 1, and we need to get the price. So we're going to use the index of where that is. So if it's C1, it's index 0, etc. But we need to find the index first. To create a variable, I'm going to call it stage 1 index, and that is going to be the stage 1 code. Oh, actually, I've just realised I've named my variables here the same as my array. So I'm just going to change that. That's a really bad thing to do. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. So stage 1 code here, I've created a variable here called stage 1 code, and that's just going to overwrite my array. So that's a really bad thing to do. So make sure that you don't do that. Don't do what I did. Stage 1, so I'm just going to call it stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Okay. So stage 1 index is stage 1 code dot index stage 1. So what this does is it creates a variable called stage 1 index, and it goes to the stage 1 code array, which is this one here, and it says give me the index where in that array the code that the customer has just entered. So if they've entered C1, it would return 0. If the customer entered C4, it would return 3. If the customer entered C3, it would return 2. And that's what gets stored. The index gets stored in this array. And we're going to use that to then get the price, because if they've entered C1, then we need to go to the index of this array and say, give me the price in index 0, which is 1.5. So it's all about where the position is of each array. And although they're separate arrays, they actually correspond to each other. So next thing we need to do. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is use that index, and I'm going to use that index to get the price. So I'm going to create another variable called stage 1 cost, and it's going to be equal to stage 1 price, and then stage 1 index in there, like that. I'm quite happy with that. And actually, I've just realised I've put booking number seed here. So I think I had booking number seed. It should be booking num seed, booking num seed. So do make sure that you change those as well. Let's just check this, that it works. It's always a good idea. So let's just check this. Don't want to create an account. I'll enter an account number. My start time is 12:45, and I'm going to enter C1 and M1 and F1. And yeah, booking num seed is not defined. It needs to be booking num seed. Yeah. So I've got booking num seed up here. Booking num seed. Booking num seed. Okay. Let's test again. For 12:45, C1, M1, F1. Good, that's worked. Okay, so I've got the price for stage 1. I'm just going to copy and paste this to get the other stages cost. And I'm just going to change this to 2, all the ones in the second one to 2, and then all the ones in the third one to 3. And that should be it. Good, okay, so we've got the prices of each of the stage. We just need to add them together to get the total cost. So I'm going to create another variable called total price, and that's going to be stage 1 cost plus stage 2 cost plus stage 3 cost. Excellent. I'm going to print that out as well. I'm going to test it. Okay, so I'm going to run that and don't want to create an account. Oh, keep pressing M. Account number 4, 1245. Enter the code C1, M1, F1, $875. Good, so that's worked perfectly. Okay, we're nearly there. We're nearly there, so don't worry. I did say most of the work is going to be in this second task. So the last thing that we need to do if we look at the pre-release is we need to store the journey details without any discount into or store the journey details in the booking, basically. Now you could store this somewhere else, but I'm going to store it in the booking array. And you can see here when we created our booking array, we've got a set format of what we need to enter. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different things we need to store. We could actually also store the total price, which, yeah, I think I might add that in actually. So I'm going to add in a total price as well. It didn't explicitly say that, I don't think, but I think it's a nice thing to have. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this so that I know what I need to add into my array. So we're going to add the booking, and we're going to say booking dot, or booking, is it bookings? I called the array bookings, and we're just going to append all of these details on in the right order because we've got everything we need. So the first one is the booking number, so it's booking num. The next one is the account number, which they entered, and it is called act num. And start time, I think we called it start time, we did. And then we're going to add the start code, so that was called stage 1. Then we're going to add the start price, so that's stage 1 cost. Then the middle, stage 2, stage. Just realised I've done this on separate lines. I need to do it on separate lines. So it's bookings.append. We're appending them in separately, which I kind of had in my head and then I forgot that we were doing it. So we actually have to do a separate append for each one of these items. Otherwise, it's not correct. And it's bookings. There we go. Bookings, start time. Bookings.append stage 1. So these are all the variables that are going to be entered into the booking table. Stage 1 cost. I'm just going to get some more room so we can see what we're doing. And then finally, we need the total price. I'm going to add the total price in. pay for the price, and that's it. That is our booking made. So I'm just going to print that out, and I'm going to talk about why we can do this and how this kind of works with multiple bookings. Okay, so print bookings, and I'm going to test this now. See if I've made any mistakes. Highly likely. So we'll just go with, no, that's done it. Good, good. Okay, so it looks a bit of a jumbled mess because we've actually got 2 bookings in this array now, but they're all added on together. And so you might kind of think, well, how do we know which is which booking? But we know how many items are in our array. We've got booking num, account num. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So every 10 elements in the array is a new booking. The 11th element will be a new booking. So if we look at the printout of when we ran that, we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's our next booking. Actually, the booking should be 2. I started it as 1, it should be 2. So I'll go back and amend that. But you see what I mean? So every 10th element, so we could print out all the different bookings by printing out every 10 elements and knowing that that's the difference. So my booking number seed should actually, in this case, be 2, and that would work better. Okay, so that is part 2, task 2 done. I think that is everything. Yeah, we're going to store we've stored the journey details without any discount. We've got the unique booking number for the journey. We've allowed them to enter everything. That is task 2. And I really do think that when they ask you about how you have to write an algorithm in the exam, they'll ask you about task 2, because really task 1 doesn't have an algorithm. It's just setting up arrays. So now we can move on to task 3, which will be in the next video.